Are you dreaming of an unmedicated birth and looking for tips on how to make it happen? Perfect. That's what we're going to cover today. I've had 3 successful unmedicated births myself, and I'm a trained doula. So today I'm going to give you the very best tips on how you can prepare for your unmedicated birth. Tip number 1. It's really important to start understanding the birthing process, and I'm going to tell you how you can get to know it. So the reason I think that this is so important is something called the fear, tension, pain cycle. Basically, this means that the more fear you have, the more tension your body holds, and the more pain you are going to feel during birth. But what we know is if people have the information and they understand what is normal during birth, they have less fear. Now, during this video several times, I'm going to tell you you have to start to get to know yourself. So the first question is, what type of learner are you? You might be multimedia, so you might have several different learning styles, but I'll go through and give suggestions for each one. The first learning type is the reader or the researcher. This explains my friend Abby to a T. But the book that I would really recommend is called The Birth Partner. And here's why I recommend it. It's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, because the subtitle is A Complete Guide to Childbirth for Dads, Partners, Doulas, and Other Labor Companions. So the thing about having an unmedicated birth is research shows that women that have continuous support at bedside do the best. What does that mean? You need your support person to understand the birthing process along with you. Now, I love this book because as the birthing person, you could read it too. It really outlines the normals, what you might say during each phase, which I think is really helpful. If all of a sudden you're saying, I don't think I can do this, you're probably in transition, and by reading this book, you know that. So this is a book that I would really recommend if you are trying for an unmedicated birth, because you're going to learn all about the birthing process. I have to mention, if you also love research, our Expecting and Empowered Preparing for Labor and Delivery course is excellent. We go through everything from how to prepare your support partner, to what positions work at each stage of labor, to all pain relief techniques that have nothing to do with medication. So that would be another great one to take if you are the reader and the researcher. Some of us are visual learners. This is the category that I fall into. So I just mentioned the course, which is also very visual and would be great. But one thing that I really like to do when I was preparing is to watch documentaries. A really good one is The Business of Being Born. It's older, but it walks you through the process and you get to visually see women that are in birth. And again, you're starting to understand what is normal and what is to be expected. Are you an auditory learner? I know my sister Crystal loves to listen and learn from things like podcasts. So if this describes you, a couple good ones are the Birth Hour podcast and the Birth Story podcast. I love the Birth Story is hosted by a doula, so she gives all of this great information. We also have birth stories on the Expecting and Empowered podcast. If you know you learn well by listening, I'd highly recommend some podcasts. Hearing other people's experiences can be really, really helpful. I will give the little caveat is to know what would be unhelpful. So if you don't want to hear a birth story where someone ends up in a C-section or something like that, maybe that's the episode to skip. The second big tip is that you have to prepare physically for this event. So I have no doubt in my mind that working out during pregnancy helped me to meet my goal of having 3 unmedicated births. Birth is very physical, and I feel like people don't talk about this enough. But what we know from research is that when women work out, they are more prepared for birth from an endurance standpoint. And also, women that work out are proven to be more resilient, meaning they are better able to deal with physical pain, they are better able to climb through mental hurdles, So it's really important that you prepare yourself physically. Now, this is exactly why we built Expecting and Empowered, so that people would have comfortable pregnancies, but also that they would be prepared to give birth. Like I said, it's a very, very physical event. I remember my body being sore, my whole body being sore from the process. So I would really encourage, if you want an unmedicated birth, to start preparing yourself physically. That also mentally pays off and is going to make you more ready to give birth. The first point was that you should really start to understand the birthing process. The second one is that you have to prepare physically. And the third and final one is we've got to prepare our mindset. So let's dive into preparing your mindset. One of the best things that I did ahead of each of my births is I wrote myself a letter. I wanted to give myself the vote of confidence, but it also helped me to understand how I wanted to be encouraged, how I wanted to be talked to. I think this is really important because the people around you really want to support you, but they might not know what that sounds like. When you write to yourself, you're able to then tell them what that support would really sound like. I'm going to go through a couple other things that really work for women when it comes to preparing their mindset. So one tool would be to get yourself a deck of mantra cards. These cards are affirmations that women could say while they're in labor, or their support person could say them to you. Now, the mantra cards are nice because you can also take them to your labor and delivery room and put them up around so that you can see them maybe when you're having a tough time. Another idea is to prepare a birth playlist. So get those songs that you think are really going to help you get through the moment, and I would honestly listen to your playlist ahead of time. Start to visualize what that big day will look like. Start to visualize how you want your big day to look. I already mentioned this one, but the letter to yourself, I think, is a key tool, just that vote of confidence. You need to believe that you can do this, and a great way to do that is to send a letter to yourself, telling yourself all the reasons why you think it's possible for you. I think that mindset is something that people can forget to work on, but it's really important. I would say if this is something that you struggle with, one idea would be that you could hire someone like a doula, because they can support your mindset throughout the whole process starting in pregnancy. Just know that I believe that you can have the birth that you are dreaming of. Take what serves you in this video and leave behind what doesn't. Birth is so unique to each individual, so we're all gonna need different things, and I hope that I've encouraged you to figure out what you really want and desire in this preparation process. If you want to take our Preparing for Labor and Delivery course, we are going to put a discount code below. So thanks so much for watching this Preparing for Unmedicated Birth video.